Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the sub, Kevin. And it's time for another edition of Reviewing Your Music on our Twitch page. We're here live right now. We're reacting to viewer submissions, reviewing them live in the moment. Anything can happen, like I say a word wrong or something. I'm reacting, chat's reacting. We are going through your submissions randomly. They're being given to me by McFarlane, who I greatly appreciate for making these segments run smoothly. And here we have our first submission for this evening for this segment. It is from, let me get the name here and everything, by an artist who goes by the name of Garden Mice. The username is Lofty, which I believe we've already verified that they're here. Pronouns he, him. Genre is indie rock. And the song is Breathing Time. And it's looks like it's on Bandcamp from a project named Drowning a Flower. And this is some kind of dark cover art here. Oh my God. Garden Mice drowning a flower with a super soaker. And the flower is also drowning itself with the hose. Hey, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. That's that flower wants to die. Also, I like that flower, it has a tiny flower-sized hose. So there's a giant human-sized super soaker ready to soak that flower. And on top of it, the flower is like, I'm not going to leave it up to chance and just presume that this super soaker is going to do the job. I'm going to get in on the action myself and drown myself too. So it's quite a statement there. Let's give a listen to this one. Again, it's labeled as an indie rock track. Let's hear those pure indie rock vibes. Ba-bing.
The climb is so high when I'm surrounded by broken.
Adding some VSTs for texture. We have our featured artist here. Did it all in Reaper. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, Reaper's underrated. Reaper's honestly underrated as far as putting tracks together, mixing tracks. It's a pretty versatile program, and very no bullshit. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I wouldn't do it for anything super flashy, but if you have exactly everything that you want to work with. And you want to do some VST stuff, Reaper's pretty good. So that's and affordable as well. I believe it's I paid for it because I have a business, I use it for business stuff, but I believe it's an open source thing and it's free if you're just kind of using it independently and stuff. So yeah, for sure. All right, that track overall, look, it had that classic indie rock jangle to it, a nice sheen on the production as well. Very tried and true in terms of vibe. It had a almost kind of melancholy but euphoric quality to it that I kind of sunk into as I continued to just kind of vibe to it. I think mix wise the most glaring issue that I had was just the drumming, which I wanted to go back here and just sort of double check something. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the track or the way that you put it together. I mean, maybe this is something just to kind of keep in mind. I mean, the drums were definitely faint during that, very jangle pop inspired intro on the track, but the drums still felt like they had a tad bit more presence there than they did through the rest of the song. I mean, I still think they need to be upped a little bit at that portion on the track, but upped a bit across the board. But I would say the drums sounded a bit more, full there at that portion than they did anywhere else. And I don't know if that was partially due to the phaser that you had going on. The drums sounded a little phased out, which is nothing wrong with phasing the drums a little bit. But the drums still did sound so faint that it's almost like I was hearing the effect more than I was the actual drums. You know what I mean? So I think those could be upped a little bit. just to like kind of reinforce the groove of the song and everything. But outside of that, like I thought songwriting wise, there were a lot of great aspects to the track. I thought there were almost like two choruses or like 2 points of the song that you had that were like quite catchy. One of them was that building sort of like chord change that you had with the guitars driving it, that was, kind of like ascending up that like that was a really catchy portion of the track. And then you actually had like literally the vocal refrain and chorus, itself for the song, which when that would come around, that was pretty great as well. There were some verse vocals in the second half that I think to maybe like vary the second verse up a little bit. Maybe you could have thrown like a little harmony on top of it to make it sound a little bit more intense, emotive, just give a little bit more pop. But, it did seem like in the second half you were playing with layers a little bit more so that it didn't sound exactly like the first half of the song, which I liked. There were some qualities about it that were rough around the edges that, sort of like enhanced that classic lo-fi, DIY indie vibe. And there were some aspects to it, DIY wise that I think, could have been enhanced a little bit or changed a little bit. Again, that drum mix, I think the drums definitely could have come up, while everything's still sounding like relatively the same. The guitars were clear as a bell, but did still run, I think, like, a little flat in terms of tone and everything. I thought the bass was a little muddy at points as well. But I don't think these things are as high priority as just like getting those drums up. All around, though, it was still a solid song that was pretty engaging for, the almost 5 minutes that it lasted. Though I think, again, structurally, you could get a little bit more ambitious, like in that last third, with either another vocal layer or even like a solo of some sort. I did sort of notice that you were trying to make things sound a little bit thicker with, I think you were saying like the VSTs. I don't know if that was the VSTs that I was hearing, but it sounded like you were almost adding like a string layer into the mix, and that sounded quite nice. So either, kind of building upon that with some other solo instrument or, a lead melody of some sort, could really kind of make that portion of the song pop. But yeah, structurally, I thought it had a lot going on. Songwriting wise, I thought it was quite solid. I wasn't able to dig into the lyrics as much as I would have liked to, but nothing like kind of stuck out to me as like a red flag or anything like that. It certainly had its kind of catchy, sticky, memorable moments as well. Really just like kind of those drums I think got to come up, and that's it. Very solid, very nice. And it looks like, again, this is attached to an entire album, and a song of which is titled Taylor Swift. So, again, this comes from the artist Garden Mice. Check the project out. Check the record out. It's out on Bandcamp right now. Just $7 Canadian. It's a steal. You're giving it away. You're just giving it away. But yeah, some cool lo-fi indie over here. Coming from the wonderful British Columbia. Sorry, I just got a text over here. Coming from that wonderful British Columbia province. So there you go. Cool. Garden Mice. Hell yes. All right, let me get this sliding back over here now. But thank you very much for submitting. All right, here we go. I believe McFarlane's already verified that our next artist is here. Username KMM2020. Artist V. Gallant. Gallant. Pronouns are they, them. Genre is alternative / hyperpop. Cool. All right, and thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. All right, the song is Noir, and then they go. Let's give it a spin. Ba-bam. Whoa. That was cerebral as fuck. Thank you for submitting. There were a lot of things going through that I have to make note of. I will say, given the alternative slash high, that did not feel very hyper to me. That didn't feel very hyper to me. Maybe it's more hyper pop adjacent. I mean, not to get bogged down in a label over here or anything. Look, again, that whole track, as I was saying earlier, and especially the first portion of it, just felt like a tone-setting intro, very abstract, experimental, sample-laced, very choppy and all over the place intro that I think perfectly teased toward just how generally kind of abstract and confusing just a lot of the track's vibe was. I liked some of those orchestral touches. The bass was huge in that first portion, felt like something out of a movie trailer. It was a pretty avant intro. And then once the song really got established, it was reminding me of a whole host of different things. There was something about the cycles and kind of repetitions and the subtly psychedelic quality of it all that reminded me a little bit of Animal Collective. Then there was something that was a little tribal about the drums and that rumbling, kind of like a repeating bass that felt like something off of like The Knife or a Fever Ray record. And I liked, that quite a bit as well. I also liked, those little glitchy like hits of, I don't know, I think maybe like another artist probably would have like thrown a snare in there, in place of like that weird electronic like click or skip that you were throwing in there. But it still, added a lot of character, subtly glitchy kind of flavor to all of it that I liked a lot. There was something, again, that was kind of trippy, tribal, meditative about the whole thing that I liked, especially the vocals as well, which felt like almost like a chant. The vocals didn't so much feel like they were conveying a melody as much as they were like a prayer or a mantra or something like that. That being said, though, I do wish the vocals conveyed like a stronger melody of some sort, because they did seem to be a vocal, focal point, and they were just like a little bit, in disarray, I guess, in terms of like the effects. And it sounded like there was almost like two vocals on top of each other in a way with, how kind of chaotic it was. So I feel like in terms of like a message, a lyric, or something, it wasn't really translating super clearly. The vocals were also sort of low as well. I like the basic ideas of what's going on here. I just think a lot of the sounds flowing throughout it need to be a bit bolder, clearer, and stronger. Bolder, clearer, stronger vocal, and maybe a little bit more reinforcement on the rhythm end, so that when that groove comes in, it hits a little bit harder. Obviously not so hard that you kind of lose the meditative quality of all of it, but, hard enough so that you get like a groove going, so that you kind of lock people even further into that mesmerizing, character that the piece has going so far. But to me, it felt like a artsy, poppy, primal, tribal sound piece that, again, I got some like Anko, Panda Bear, Fever Ray vibes off of, that I liked quite a bit. It was a neat little piece. Thank you very much for submitting and sharing. All right, let's get going with our last song in this segment. Username is Problem.Areas. Artist is Problem.Areas. Production Kid Mask. Pronouns are they, them. Genre hyperpop adjacent. Noise rap. So hyperpop adjacent noise rap. The song is C4. Let's pop it on. Okay. Interesting. Hey, thank you for the sub. Sounded almost like a cross between, somebody in chat said 645 AR. I get that a little bit. I get some Cardi off of it. I get some Gex off of it. I get some industrial hip hop off of it too. It's an interesting crossroads. It's an interesting crossroads for sure. I think, to put it like plainly and simply, loved the groove, loved the grimy ass vibe, loved the flavor of the production. I thought that where you were taking the vocals was kind of interesting as well. The flow was okay. If not like a little loose in some pockets, but again, flow is fine. I think as far as like vocal placement and vocal effects, heart is in the right place, but the vocals could be a bit clearer. I felt like they were a bit buried in this beat. Vocals could be clearer, or you could be getting, more organic with the vocal presentation, or even more experimental with the effects so that the vocals pop a little bit more. Either way, I think the vocals need to, at least mix-wise, be a little bit more of a focal point. And on top of that, I think while I liked the vibe of the track, for the length that it lasted, we really needed a part B. We had a bit of an intro, and we have this sort of like long-lasting verse that just sort of like trails off until we hit the very end. And it's like, again, kind of a 2-minute track. For the length that it goes on, I think we sort of needed a part B. If maybe the lyrics were a bit more of a focus, that would kind of be a supplement to that. But I think we need a part B. I think we need a chorus, or we need some kind of refrain. And maybe the beat could change and kind of reinforce, the focus on that hook. But I think we need some sort of refrain of some sort to like really kind of bring what you're doing here home. Again, could be like a big beat change, something melodic, something super sticky, something sweeter to kind of contrast with the rest of the track. Or it could be something as simple as like, jump out the house, jump out the house, jump out the house, as long as we're like, talking Cardi here, you know what I mean? But either way, I think there could be a little something to kind of hook, onto. But yeah, I think vocal placement and song structure and consideration of a refrain or a chorus of some sort would, do a lot for this track. But yeah, that was good. Thank you for submitting. That was a fun listen. And I value you submitting. Thank you very much. And I appreciate that everybody who submitted tonight was very submissive and breedable. Very submissive and breedable. Thank you. Appreciate it. Over here, if you're watching this on YouTube, you could check out the description box where we've linked everyone's music in this segment, so you can check it out for yourself. Follow these people on Spotify or wherever they're putting out their shit, and become fans of their work, and follow them and see what their next musical exploits are. Nice 12 monthly listeners. We're really digging into the fucking underground on this bitch. But yeah, that's going to be it for this segment. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, reviewing your music forever. And there you have it. All right, listen, we're not